Here we are with Chris Bradbury, the CEO of Summer.fi. Chris, it's great to have you on the Defiant again. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. It's good to be back so soon.
So lots going on at Summer.fi, but for those who didn't listen to our previous episode, I just love to just start with a brief overview of Summer.fi, and then we can get to the latest.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so Summer.fi, we're building the best place to borrow and earn in DeFi. Basically, we curate some of the best protocols available on mainnet, Ethereum mainnet, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Base, including kind of like Maker, Spark, Aave, Argdar, Morpho. Try and add like a 10x user experience on top of all those protocols with kind of like one-click transactions to help you get the job done a lot quicker. Better user interface to give you more information that's useful to you, and then like state-of-the-art automation tools as well. So kind of take a little bit of stress and a little bit of worry out of managing positions, particularly in kind of like such volatile markets and so on that we're seeing quite a lot of recently.
What's your connection to Maker?
I was actually part of MakerDAO. I joined them in 2018 as a product manager. So like always been a product manager. I was in fintech kind of before crypto. Was brought in as a product manager primarily to kind of like do the PM work on their front ends and so on. And that's how Summer.fi was born ultimately. It was originally branded oasis.app. Originally part of the Maker Foundation as the default front end when we launched multi-collateral DAI back in November 2019. And in 2021, we when the foundation dissolved, the protocol is obviously handed fully over to governance as it continues to be today. But things like oasis.app spun out into its own company, and we went from just being a Maker front end to that curated DeFi experience.
I very recently spoke with Rune. I moderated a fireside chat with them. So I don't know, I have like the whole end game very much kind of front and center. So is Summer.fi part of the MakerDAO end game? Like, are you a Maker sub DAO, or will you have a sub DAO token in the future?
So we're not part of the end game stuff. So we're completely separate now. So ever since 21, we kind of went our kind of separate ways in a way. The end game stuff is primarily all around the DAO aspect of Maker. Although we continue to support Maker as a protocol, it's still probably I think pretty much the most popular protocol still that we have on there, just because of our such close knit connection to Maker, and we support Spark. As well, with like the full product suite on Spark, which is obviously like the main sub DAO of Maker at the moment. And but as Maker kind of rolls out its new tokens and so on, and different structures and so on, then we're 100% going to support everything for it. But we are completely separated, kind of legally, community wise, token wise, and everything like that. So no connection directly to Maker, but we'll just continue to be supporters. A number of the people at Summer.fi are still like ex-Maker people as well. So we obviously look and watch Maker very closely, but no official connections.
Summer.fi is a kind of a DeFi front end, right? Like it's an easy to use interface into DeFi, but it continues to be non-custodial. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, okay. It's entirely non-custodial. Even the automation tools, so they will work exactly how you set them up, like strict conditions and so on for that. But all the features, all the functionality, every single part of it is non-custodial. There's not a single bit that touches any sort of custodial services and so on. So you have to have a non-custodial wallet to come in and start using Summer.fi. You have to have ETH in your wallet, for example, to do anything. It's kind of back, like sticks to its roots of DeFi from like kind of across the entire app.
So I'm always curious about this building space within DeFi, because I think it's just a very kind of a particular user. Because from my experience, like people in DeFi are like full Degens who want to be very active, just like, trading directly. They're spinning up like Telegram sniper bots and are like getting in and out of positions. I don't know. They're a bit kind of more sophisticated than, most crypto holders or participants. Yeah. And then there's the kind of like CeFi or like centralized exchange crypto holder who's like pretty passive. They'll, buy and hold some of like major tokens they hear about, but they won't participate in DeFi directly. But it feels like with Summer.fi and, other similar offerings, there's like this bet of, okay, there's a user there who does want to participate in DeFi and Web3, but it's not like 100% like Degen, and it doesn't want to be like, it's maybe less technically savvy, or just doesn't want to spend so much time dealing directly with smart contracts or anything like that. Just wants an easy way into DeFi and Web3. Do you think? I mean, how do you see your user? Like, do you think this segment is increasing? Are they coming from centralized exchanges, or is it like degens who just like want to take a break? Like, what's your insight into your user?
Yeah. So, I mean, we describe our users as kind of semi-sophisticated crypto enthusiasts in a way. And I guess we could call that like DeFi enthusiasts in reality, because I think if we look at like crypto enthusiasts on just centralized exchanges, they're probably not there. But I mean, Summer.fi is still like a semi-sophisticated offering. You do kind of need to know what you're doing. Like even the fact that it's non-custodial, you need to have your own wallet, and like whether it's private keys or kind of some of the newer wallets and so on. But yeah, it is still trading tokens in a non-custodial way. It is still kind of like trading. Like we have stop loss orders, like automated take profit orders, trading stop losses, and these are still quite advanced terms for the majority of people. But yeah, I think the market is growing in that area. I don't think I don't think we attract degens. Like we don't really have any degen products. We don't really support degen protocols. Like we're not in the business of supporting protocols where you could earn 1,000% APY for a couple of weeks, but you've maybe got a 10% chance of being rugged, for example, in that time. So we only curate like kind of the best protocols out there, the kind of safe, sustainable protocols really that can earn you a decent return. But it's very unlikely that you're going to lose money through them. But it's not a huge market. It is still a kind of a fairly pro in space. And I think even if you look at DeFi and kind of non-custodial DeFi in particular, it's kind of like the kind of like pro version of Coinbase, like Coinbase Pro, and so on. Like when they had that kind of completely segregated app, and so on. So like I think the median balance of our users is over $70,000. For example, I think the average is something crazy like $900,000. So we're not like, we don't target. We're like trying to attract users with like $500 or $200 or something like that. Like just the gas fees alone just eat into the return and so on if you're on mainnet. And even on L2s and so on, they will eventually kind of like eat their way into it, even if it's a couple of cents to do a transaction. If you're only starting off with like $50, it soon eats in. So yeah, I think most of DeFi is targeting like kind of not retail users, but we like when we speak to our users, a lot of them have worked in DeFi, have worked in crypto, are like quite technically savvy people. And that's actually who we target this app for. Like we are working on a new project at the moment, which is much more retail focused, much more passive, and much more kind of like set and forget, and so on to open up to that much wider market.
Yeah, tell me more about this new product.
So it's still in the fairly early days, and we're probably kind of at least 6 months out from it at the moment. We kind of launched it or announced it fully yesterday. But yeah, it's kind of what we're terming the Summer.fi Earn protocol, and so on. And it's going to be a completely kind of like permissionless way to lend your assets and just be continuously rebalanced across DeFi, ultimately. So as a user, you'll just be able to deposit your token in the same kind of like curated list of protocols. So safe, sustainable protocols that can earn you a long-term sustainable yield. But it will rebalance them for you. So as a user, you don't have to keep changing pools or changing protocols when the rates are changing, or if the DSR is increased 1 week and then decreased a few weeks later and so on, you have to move it out. it will, everything will be done for you. And the plan really there is to start integrating that into the wider kind of like Web 2 world, TradFi world, and so on, and distribute that through like SDKs and so on.
Super interesting. And that will be completely like a separate app from current Summer.fi?
No, it would be combined, but what you'll likely see is kind of that become the main face of Summer.fi, more than likely, and actually like the current interface as it is become more of a kind of like pro interface again. Thinking of like Coinbase Pro, where like the majority of your users are using that simple passive application, but still your larger users, they're in much smaller numbers. Advanced users, sophisticated users still have the advanced tools to be able to use, and so on. And as DeFi grows and more liquidity comes in, those pro tools only become more efficient and better to use as well as more liquidity is within DeFi.
That makes a lot of sense. How, if you could estimate the market size of those two users right now, like how big do you think the market is for this more sophisticated DeFi user who's not like fully Degen, and how big is the market for this more passive user?
Yeah, so at the sophisticated level, the market's, I don't think huge, maybe in like the tens to hundreds of thousands maximum, maybe at the moment. Just on chain at the moment, there's only about 2 million addresses on chain that have like at least 0.2 ETH and have done at least a couple of transactions in their time. So if you look at kind of like active wallets, in some ways, and not all of these are even still active, right? But ones of at least 0.2 ETH and thingy, the count is just over 2 million across mainnet and the major chains. So if you think of all the users with a non-custodial wallet that are potentially active, and it tops out at around 2 million, it actually then creates the market for then doing this fairly advanced trading on specific protocols, quite small. On the other hand, when you look at the kind of passive products, we can look well beyond crypto well beyond DeFi and crypto in reality for that. And when people talk about onboarding the next 100 million users or billion users or whatever, like I firmly believe that you're never going to onboard those users by expecting them to fragment their existing kind of like fiat wallets into multiple different like kind of digital wallets and so on, and then fragment them further using different apps. So we're not going to onboard the next 100 million users into an array of like different protocol front ends or even like Summer.fi or the Summer.fi front end as it is today. Like I think we're kidding ourselves if we think all these people around the world are going to onboard into protocol UIs. So we have to take DeFi to them if we want to onboard like the next 100 million people on chain, and we have to take the products that we have to the apps they're currently using today, like where their money already is stored. So if that's their savings apps, their digital wealth management apps, their current trading apps, and so on. As an industry, we have to take the products that we're building, build them for the future, and get them kind of integrated in a kind of professional and scalable way into the apps that they have. And that's what we plan to do with Summer.fi and the kind of new passive protocol, because the market for that is anyone that's saving, kind of regardless of the size. So anybody that's saving $100 or $50 up to the person or company that's got tens of millions of dollars to save, and so on, and would like to earn, at least in a proportion of their portfolio, maybe somewhere between like 8 to 12%, and so on, in a kind of fairly safe way, but also using crypto as crypto was designed to be used. So I think if everybody is just using crypto by using like like Bitcoin or ETH ETFs, like we've kind of failed as an industry if that's the only way to like earn into crypto or buy crypto. Like we've spent all these like years now building all this non-custodial technology, all this blockchain technology, the L2s and so on. And it seems at the moment like we're just trying to onboard people into centralized ETFs, which is kind of like nothing towards what we've all been working towards.
Oh yeah, thank you for for saying that. To me, it's always like a bit tiresome just like seeing all this hype around ETFs. Like, okay, I get, the significance, but also, I don't know, it's a bit lame for the reasons you say.
I mean, we failed as an industry if that's the only way people can use crypto, like in the mainstream world. Then we've kind of wasted the last 10 years in some ways, like building all of this like transparent, like on-chain technology. Because none of that stuff is transparent, right? None of it uses any of the benefits of crypto. None of it uses like the wallets underneath that. No users are depositing using their own wallets, their own keys or anything like that. And maybe we don't see them using their own keys in the future if they're using the underlying apps and so on. But at least they're using and deploying their money straight into actual DeFi that's being used then by other DeFi participants, and not just being like held in some sort of like centralized wallet, locked away in like probably like the 40th floor of a high-rise like kind of office building or something.
Absolutely. So for you, the path forward would be, say, to get this passive Summer.fi earn product into like a more fintech or TradFi bank front end for users to access. So like say Robinhood integrates Summer.fi earn into their app.
Long term. Yeah. I mean, I think that's how we have to like look at like DeFi and so on. Hundreds of millions of people are not going to be using individual protocol front ends, I think, and signing individual transactions and so on. Like just from a UX point of view, that's not how any apps kind of work today. Even if you look at like kind of banks and branches and so on, like you just do your banking online now for everything. That you don't have to go and like prove who you are and queue up at a kiosk and so on and give them like your paying in book or whatever it is these days. But yeah, so I think we have to take like banking took kind of the bank to where the users were, and that was on their mobile phones in reality. So like take it wherever you are. I think we need to do the same with DeFi in the long term. Like if we want to onboard those hundreds of millions of users, like we have to put DeFi into the apps they're already using today, because I don't think we can expect ordinary people, to just start sending their money or like onboarding through all these different kind of on-ramps onto these different websites and apps. And yeah, potentially even having like 10 or 11 different wallets for different networks, for different like L1s and so on, different addresses for different things, and expect people to kind of like fragment their money and fragment their savings. Because even today, people that use crypto, the majority of us, we still have to like withdraw back to our bank accounts to pay our bills and so on. So if we can seamlessly integrate all of that into the thing that the users are using today, like that's how we onboard it. And I've said that kind of since 2018, since I joined Maker, that the one way to make crypto mainstream, or DeFi in particular mainstream, is it has to just feel like kind of like the apps they're using today. And obviously using crypto doesn't feel anything like, or using DeFi doesn't feel anything like using a kind of traditional savings app or anything like that. But it's going to have to in the future for mainstream adoption.
So do you think that users managing private keys and transacting in DeFi in a non-custodial way, will that remain a niche market?
I think a niche relative to the full scale of the market and so on. Like I think that market will continue to grow. I mean, in the same way that like most of the people trading stocks and so on, like most people that have stocks are just exposed to ETFs and so on that have a fund manager doing it all for them. There's very few in the grand scale of things that are actually kind of picking and choosing the stocks they want to buy and invest in and managing those, or like kind of like the call options and so on. Like if you look at the percentage of people who do that compared to the amount of people that have like pensions or just savings accounts where it's just deposited into like kind of like pre-configured ETFs that are rebalanced for you on a kind of like monthly or like kind of quarterly basis and so on, I think we'll maybe start to see the same eventually. But I think the important thing is that the people that are saving without doing all of that day-to-day management of private keys and so on are still depositing into the underlying kind of transparent technology and providing liquidity to these new like financial products, these DeFi protocols and so on, where everything is transparent and you have all the benefits of blockchain technology. Like depositing into something that is a whole lot better, even if they're doing it in a obfuscated way, like through their app, they're still depositing into this new layer of technology that we've been working like really hard on over the years to create better financial systems and more transparent financial systems. But as long as that money is kind of going into there in some way, I don't think we should be too worried about the average Joe on the street, like how they're saving their $200, for example, if we're using this new technology that we're working so hard to push to allow then the others that have got maybe the 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, if they want to do the kind of advanced trading, the advanced borrowing and so on, the yield loops that are actually paying the yield to those savers to make it incentivize them to actually deposit into DeFi, if they know they're depositing into DeFi or not, then I think that's success moving forward.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So now moving on to specifically the latest on Summer.fi. So you just launched your point system.
Yes.
Yeah, would love to learn more about that, how it works.
Yes. So basically, in preparation for that Earn protocol that we announced yesterday, like that was in combination with announcing our point system for Summer.fi, which is called rays. So if you think of summer, think of the sun, catch those rays, and so on. So we're kind of playing on that theme. I know technically it's only summer in the northern hemisphere at the moment, but yeah, yesterday was solstice. It was the first day of summer, and yeah, to celebrate that, we launched our point system. Effectively, what the point system does is just heavily reward users that are active on Summer.fi. Over 2 million addresses are eligible for raise points, and so on. Many of those are just any active wallet, basically on Ethereum, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Base. But you only have 3 months to be able to turn your raise into kind of like to keep your raise, basically. So at the end of 3 months, you have to have used Summer.fi one way or another. And if you've used Summer.fi in those 3 months, if you've opened a position, you've kept it open for at least 14 days, I think it is, then your raise become permanent. And yeah, like when the new protocol launches very early next year, then yeah, those rays will kind of form a part of that, basically. And you can earn a ton of rays just by using Summer. If you migrate your position in from another like kind of front end, another protocol front end, you can earn a huge amount of rays just in that migration step. And then you earn rays basically per dollar managed on Summer, and you can boost them via a load of different features on Summer. So it's just a kind of loyalty scheme, a reward scheme for doing. The more you do, the more points you get. And the more dollars you manage, the more you get. Kind of capped at 10 million. So like massive whales can't just come and like sweep up all the points. But yeah, it's cool, super exciting. And we've seen some kind of great data from it already. Kind of just from like in the last 24 hours when it launched.
Did you say that you already have like a list of eligible wallets, and where does that come from?
Yeah, so we've got 4 categories of users that are eligible for raise. So we did a huge retroactive kind of snapshot on the 18th, and at that point we looked at any wallet that had at least 0.2 ETH in it and had done at least 5 transactions across mainnet, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Base. So if you have a wallet with at least 0.2 ETH in it, and you've done 5 transactions, then you'll be eligible for at least 100 raise on there. If you are a DeFi, like a borrowing and lending DeFi user, you will have 200 raise for every protocol you're currently active in. The list of protocols is effectively any protocol that Missouri had a subgraph for. We support on the snapshot. So every active position gets another 200 points, and then you've got, if you've used Summer at any point in the last since June 2021, you will have 500 points, which is boosted to 1,500 points if you are active on the 18th. So if you had an active position currently managed on Summer on the 18th, then it's 1,500 points per protocol that you're using. So if you're using like all 5 protocols that we have, you'd get 1,500 points for each protocol that you were on. And then if you've been a power user of Summer.fi since then, so if you've ever used Multiply, if you've ever used a yield loop, if you've ever used a like kind of automation, like protection automation or an optimization, or used the migrate feature, you will earn 2,000 points. I think it's 2,000 for each feature you've used. And again, if you're an active user, it's boosted by 3x on there. And then from the 18th, every active user earns around 690 points for every $10,000 they're managing on Summer.fi per year. And there's various ways you can boost those points and earn instant points if you trade using Multiply or yield loops. Or if you migrate in for another protocol, you earn like 20% of the year's points and so on. So there's lots of different ways, like Summer.fi/raise. You can see the leaderboard, you can search your address, you can find out how many raise you've got, you can find out how best to claim your raise, like if you need to do anything in order to kind of like fully make them eligible. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's running kind of pretty much for the next 3 years on there, but the next 3 months are super important if you're not an active user right now. You just need to become an active user in the next 3 months to turn the raise into full raise, which then we'll maybe turn into something else one day down the road.
If it's running for 3 years, do you expect Raise will turn into a potential token after 3 years, or could it happen before then?
I mean, if there's a token, it's going to be, I mean, the Raise are effectively, like I said, the precursor to the Summer protocol launching in 2025, which is going to need to be governed and so on.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So likely next year. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's at least 3 months away to do this kind of like retroactive snapshot, basically. So everyone that was in that retroactive allocation that then keeps their raise but does something to make them fully eligible. As we get closer to the launch of Summer protocol, there's going to be more news and so on. And like I said, that's coming. Hopefully, the plan is to have that finished, the full development of finished in the next few months, and then prepped for release early 25.
So you said you already had some interesting data just from the launch yesterday. What are you already seeing?
Just really seeing what we're intending to kind of see from the outset, and that really, which is users kind of doing some of the tasks that they need to do in order to claim their raise, whether that's migrating positions in. So we've seen a number of users now migrating their positions in from the kind of protocol front ends into Summer, hopefully discovering the kind of new advanced features they can get access to maybe for the first time, and then seeing automations being enabled and so on. But we're just seen a big uptick in activity and so on, which is really awesome to see. But from our point of view, really it's all about helping kind of discovery of the features that we have, and how you can basically better manage your position within DeFi on the protocols we support, because we have a ton of features that can just help you manage those a little bit easier and hopefully sleep a little bit better at night. We've all the team that we have, all the features that have been built on Summer.fi have basically all been things that we all want to use and do use on a daily basis. So things like stop loss. So you can go to bed at night if the market has a huge drop, kind of like we saw in June 22 or whatever like that. You know that the automation features will just close you out of your position if you don't wake up in time, for example. So there's certain features on there which is kind of in my mind like a no-brainer. Like the stop losses, if you have an active position, it kind of makes sense to of course, the people have their own reasons, but from my point of view, it makes no sense not to enable stop loss, because if the price never drops to that point, then it never fires anyway. And if it does drop, say when you're sleeping or when you're traveling, it's just going to close you out automatically without you having to do anything. And there's no extra cost to just using a close, like a manual close, for example. So it's kind of a no-brainer in that sense. It's protection if you ever need it, and hopefully you'll never use it in some ways. So from our point of view, it's like I said, you don't pay a fee for enabling it or anything like that. It's there as a backup. And then some of the other features we launched more recently are like take profit, like automated take profit, a feature that we all wish I think we had in 2021, and probably took more profits out of our positions instead of being so greedy. So now you can kind of take the emotion out of selling when the price is going up, set it when you're in a kind of rational mind, maybe in a fairly flat day like today, and think, okay, if the price starts going up, maybe above if it goes up above 4,000, I'm gonna start taking profits out every $100 or something like that. You can set that up, and how you can set that up is you can keep a constant multiple as well. So you can keep your position maybe at 2.5x, and then every time the loan to value drops by 2% as the price is going up, it can just keep withdrawing a little bit of collateral, keeping you at 2.5x, just as the market's going up all the way. And you can still have then your stop loss or your trailing stop loss kind of sat behind. So in some ways, you kind of can't lose except the boundary when you open your position and set a stop loss. So yeah, they're all products that we've built to solve our own problems. And as we see from the data, it's solving lots of users' problems for them as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just those two features sound extremely useful for anyone holding crypto. But when as we wrap up, and as you're starting your points program and seeing activity pick up, this is something I've been interested in, with just airdrops becoming so prevalent in DeFi, and it's how you're thinking about retaining those users, because point systems, airdrops, yes, they do incentivize a lot of people coming in liquidity, but then they immediately leave when they get the token. So yeah, how do you think about that and plan to actually retain those users that you're seeing today?
Yeah, so I mean, oasis.app has been around for, from oasis.app days, it's been around for almost 5 years now, coming up to like kind of 4.5 years, 5 years in November. And this is the first time we've ever done anything kind of like rewarding for users and given them back. And so all of the user growth we've had to date has been organic. And we have pretty good kind of like growth and like net growth and like kind of like very, very low churn data in reality, particularly unless the market's obviously dropping. Like in 22, like we lost a lot throughout 22, just as like almost scandal after scandal kept happening during that year. But you look at fairly standard market conditions, and the churn is fairly low. So I think any product that wants to retain their users, that they have to solve problems for the users. You have to kind of say, okay, like what does the user need in order to stay? And obviously, there's many crypto projects out there where it's gone, okay, we need to give them free money in order for them to stay. But we firmly believe that actually the raise and the points are kind of a bonus. And actually a lot of the features that we have are features that solve real problems to users. Internally, we use a framework we call jobs to be done, where we talk about, okay, as a user, like what job is it the users want to have done? So they want to, like, for example, some of ours are, they want to optimize their positions while protecting themselves from losses. So you can see we've got multiply and like kind of upwards automation to help them optimize their position. And we have things like stop loss to help them protect them against their position. So first and foremost, we just have to build products that solve real problems. And those problems are not just give me free money, basically. And I think if you can solve real problems, then you will keep the users. Sometimes in this space, it's sometimes you're fighting kind of for mind space a little bit to say, hey, try our app or like see some of the features that we have, like give them a go and so on. We're very confident internally that if you like give the features a go on Summer.fi, then you'll stick with Summer.fi in reality, because we've built them after speaking to hundreds, maybe even like 1,000 users over the last kind of like almost 5 years and so on. And we feel very strongly that we've built products that solve real problems for users in DeFi, that semi-sophisticated audience in DeFi. Again, we're not solving problems for retail users. Like we're all kind of like aware of that and so on. Like that's what we're trying to do with the next product and why we're kind of moving into that space, because that's the much bigger market. That is the next big opportunity. But actually it's kind of taken us maybe this time and kind of waiting for the right moment to say, hey, that problem is actually starting to exist for that market now. And we kind of saw in 21 again and 22, like it was kind of tested for us in some ways, like the likes of Celsius and so on. They advertised these yields. They said it was some DeFi, but it was like, it wasn't real, right? And that's what we want to do this time. We want to make a product that can say that and mean it and show it and be trusted, basically. And again, solve the problems where users can earn 5, 6, 7%, maybe just on a fraction of their portfolio, like a fraction of their like savings and so on, from like a diversification and risk point of view. But they can go and earn that. They can see how it works. They can see the transparency if they want to on chain, and actually see that the yield they're making is real yield coming from real users, and it isn't inflated. It isn't faked or anything like that. Like that yield that you're getting is real yield, and the app's not going to blow up one day and you're going to lose access to your money. So
I think
it's all about solving
importantly,
real problems.
Just having the ability to maintain control over your assets is key, right? It's like, okay, you it's transparent, so you're seeing where your money is held. You're seeing, there's nothing sketchy, shady going on. It's not being lent to somebody you're not aware of. And at the same time, if the market is crashing, you can withdraw at any time. Like there's not that fear of, is that kind of my account gonna be closed, or are withdrawals going to be disabled like it happened in CeFi? So that's why, we keep we keep kind of remain so bullish in DeFi, because it just has proven to be the way forward time and time again. But yes, super excited to hear you are expanding into this more, retail market, while continuing to build great products for the more sophisticated user. And I love your take on points too. It's been like such a, I think, like overused narrative that it can be abused. But I think, if your focus remains solving a problem for users, rewarding users that like a user base that's been grown organically, and like you said, also just incentivizing just like product discovery with point system, I think that's just a smart way to go. So we'll continue covering Summer.fi, seeing how the point system goes, and we'll look forward to the Earn product launch next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been great.